This is Nancy. I'm showing you here some EPP work on a grandmother's garden blocks that I'm going to be putting together to create a quilt eventually. But this is a long process, so these will just be little snippets every now and then just to show you my updates and to show you how far I've gotten along here. I'm trying to do it as up close as possible so that you can see how I stitch and how I kind of try to manage my thread. I'm a little OCD. The thread it constantly gets in my way, so I try to tuck it under my thumb as I'm going for my next stitch. And as you can see here, I'm just taking a couple threads from each side of the blocks and just pulling it through. This is called a whip stitch. Many people ask if the papers stay in throughout the whole quilt. It does not. Once you're finished and you've pieced everything together, I will be removing the papers. A lot of people remove them as you surround them with other ones. I just want to do it all at one time. I just think it'll be easier for me at that point. This is all glue basted, and they're just scraps that I had around the house, different individual little charm packs that I liked that I cut up. I cut them up into 4 and they fit. They're 1-inch hexies, and I use a tulip 10-inch big eye needle, and that's what I'm using right here. And I'm sorry, just immediately before I started filming this, I caught my middle nail on my right hand on a package and it ripped it right off. So I apologize that my nails aren't looking the greatest, but it's life. So here I am at the end of a row on the side of the hexie. I like to, at the beginning of each hexie and the end of each hexie, I like to double lock it. So you'll see me pull up the loop as I go through the hole. You'll see me pull up the loop and go through the loop a couple times and then pull it down so that I can see right here. You'll see I go through the loop once, come back around, go through it again. And that kind of is a double lock on the loop. So now I take off my sew tights, bend it out, and I'm about to add on a new piece so that I can continue going around. What I like to do is I don't like to cut my thread in between each one, so I bring it up from the back and just move it along to where I need to come out to start the next block. And that's usually the top left corners of the block so that I can add on a new one. And that prevents me from having to cut and tie off my strings and all that kind of stuff. So then I'll put my new block on, and I usually like to have it so that I have the flap that is got both sides available. Pull off a little extra string there that showed up. And I put my sew tight back on once I have it lined up. I like to ensure that it is lined up nice and tight at the top. so that I can go straight across rather than having to go up or down with my stitch. And you'll see sometimes I'll go through and I'll adjust them, adjust my stitches, or excuse me, adjust the blocks so that I can do that. Now here's the start of a row. I go through the corners, and you notice I'm not going through the paper, I'm just going through just the fabric. And I double knot it so that it's got a good lock stitch there. That way if anything comes apart, either at the beginning or the end, I'm only losing a couple stitches and I can go back and fix that. And then I just go back through and pull it down and lock it behind my thumbnail so that I can easily keep that thread out of the way when I go to do my next stitch. And I go along until I'm at the bottom, and I do the same thing. I'll lock it off at the end of the row and open that up and get it set to start the next row on the next flock. So here I'm coming to the end of that row. I'm going to do a double lock at the end of this row, just like as I started it. And then we'll take the sew tight off and we'll get ready. I'll show you how to set it up to stitch again to the next one. Try to get as close to the next block as possible. There's my loop. I'm going through it twice, pulling that off, double knotting it, pull my sew tight off, and you'll see I'm ready for the next side now. Now, this is why this cardboard's so good. You can, I mean, not cardboard, but the heavy cardstock is so good. You can just bend this to your will wherever you need it to be so that those hexes line up perfectly. Sometimes they take a little extra playing around with to get them to line up right because, you know, the cardstock's a little heavier so that you can't exactly bend it sometimes where you need it to bend, but you just keep playing with it. And it'll get there. You'll see. I get it straight enough that I can work with it. Put my sew tight back on and continue stitching. You'll see I started off just like I did before with a double knot and end it with a double knot. I just realized I never told you what kind of thread I'm using. I am using an 80 weight Aurifil. The reason I actually started out with a 50 weight Aurifil, but I saw all my stitches and I don't really like to see my stitches on the front. So I switched over to an 80 weight, which is a thinner thread, and that allowed it to not really be seen on the front. The only problem is it does break easy. So I don't know if it happens on this particular flower, but you'll see sometimes I pull it too tight and it'll break. So that will require me to go back over that row that I just sewed again, because otherwise those stitches will just come out back to the knot. But just be careful, don't pull too hard. I am a little heavy-handed when I pull, so I apologize. Each one of these flowers will get 5 white hexes attached to them, and then they will link together with the other hexes, the other flowers, excuse me. So I've created the flower starting off with 1 white hexie in the center, surrounded it by 5 pattern fabrics around it, and then put 5 white hexes on it, and then that's the end of that particular flower. And then I move on to my next flower. At the end, I'll show you a picture of what it could look like in the end. I'm just gonna throw them on the screen to show you what they will look like once they're linked. Please like and subscribe. And if you'd like to see more content like this, please leave a note in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Thank you.